Rev up your engines!
Well, Toyota has finally unveiled its electric SUV, their new one. It's called the Urban Cruiser EV. But this should be unveiled twice. Here it is, unveil it. And then unveil that it's actually a Suzuki. Basically the same as the Suzuki's e-Vitara electric SUV. Just like Honda, their little SUV, it's just a rebadged Chevy. These companies, I gotta give it to both Honda and Toyota. They're not dumb, right? Did they spend a ton of money designing and building this electric car? No. They're just rebadging a Suzuki or Honda. They're just rebadging a GM, playing their cards close to their chest. They realize, hey, maybe these battery electric cars are going to fail. Why should we put billions into it? Let's try these other ones that people have already designed. Now, Toyota does have agreement going on with Suzuki where they're sharing technologies and stuff because, hey, they're like, why should we blow all our money on these electric cars that might not even sell? Suzuki's doing it, so we'll get together with them and we'll start selling them just like Honda has the same deal going with GM. Maybe it'll come to something, maybe it won't. Who really knows? But they're not stupid companies, these Japanese. They're not putting all their money in it. They're using other people's technology. Now, the one thing they are doing, but I guess they're willing to take the gamble, both Honda and Toyota, is they're putting their name on other people's products. And it can dilute it, like people are now suing for the little Toyota sports cars that have the Subarus, because they're really Subarus, boxer engines, because they're leaking and they're blowing up, right? Well, that makes Toyota look bad, because these people did not buy a car that says Subaru. It says Toyota. Just like the people that bought Toyota Supras. Those are not Toyotas, those are BMW Roadsters. And hey, you get problems with that. They're not reliable like Toyotas are. At least how Toyotas used to be. They're having problems now. But these guys aren't dumb. They're not putting all their money into these dumb electric cars. They're just rebadging other companies. I wouldn't buy one either way. Well, we all know Stellantis is making a lot of problems, but what did they really screw up with the Jeeps? They're in deep doo-doo now. They can't sell the things. They're overpriced. Well, according to people that work there in the assembly line, they blame it all on Stellantis' philosophy, which is probably true. It all started with old Carlos Tavares, who resigned as the head of Stellantis. Here's a quote from him. "We're going to be the most efficient automaker with regard to our capital spending." Okay, the first 3 years after the merger where Stellantis took over Chrysler and Fiat, Stellantis laid off more than 40,000 workers globally. With all this cost cutting, Stellantis made $20 billion in profits in 2023 and paid out $7 billion to shareholders. The rich get richer, right? But with all of this, the quality went down. People who were working on these assembly lines, of course, under conditions of anonymity, some of them still work there, said, hey, we didn't stop the production line to fix a problem on the vehicle. They just keep pushing them out, keep pushing them out. Here's what one customer of Jeep says. I bought an $80,000 Jeep. Immediately, I saw the difference between the old ones. It took me 5 hours to discover the first problem of my 2022 Jeep Wagoneer. There was a mouse squeaking noise from the windshield on a new car. Then I was vibration in the steering wheel at highway speeds. I don't expect this from a car I spent $80,000 for. They're making them cheaper. They're charging more money. Duh. No wonder they got a problem selling these Jeeps. And I'll tell you, I've been working on these things for a long time. I worked on the old Willys Jeeps when it was their own company, right? After World War II, they were making Jeeps for regular people. The problem is, good vehicles for quite some time, until Fiat took over. When Mercedes took over Chrysler and it was Daimler Chrysler, the quality of the Jeeps actually went up. They were putting some good German quality parts on them. Some of them had German transmissions, right? They were actually going up. But Mercedes lost so much money with the Chrysler deal because they didn't realize Chrysler had all kinds of problems with quality control and they had recalls up the wazoo. They got rid of it. Fiat bought it. Then Jeep started to go Marianas Trench, the deepest place on earth. That's about where they're sitting now. I had a guy, he actually bought Jeep Grand Wagoneer for $125,000. Who on earth is paying that kind of money for one of those things that aren't that well made? Well, now, Jeep, the company, hey, they're pretty much screwed over. Old Carlos said, I'm out of here, bye. What are they going to do? Hey, be kind of interesting to see what happens. And of course, the worst thing was when Fiat took over, they diluted the brand like mad. They took the Jeep Renegade which never existed, and it really never existed as a Jeep either, because it's just a rebadged four-wheel drive Fiat. It's not a Jeep, and of course, that lowers the brand. People say that was a piece of crap. They started making them cheaper and cheaper, like the Jeep Compass, cheaper and cheaper made, and now it's biting them in the rear end. You know what I say? Too bad. See you later. Well, I was reading economic news, and it just kind of makes me throw up. They say consumer prices rose in November as inflation remains sticky. But these liars, they are saying that the consumer price index rose 2.7% over the year in November, up from 2.6% in October. Now, this isn't 2.6, 2.7% a month. That's over the whole year, right? What world do these economists live in? We just went from Rhode Island to Clarksville, Tennessee, right? And my wife's been to the store a few times, and she said, at this rate, our groceries are going to cost us $1,600 a month because the prices have just gone sky high. I'll tell you the truth. Stuff I used to buy for $200, which was bad enough for 3 bags of groceries, is now $300. That's not 2.6 or 2.7%. Car insurance is up. Price of cars is up. Price of everything is up. The price of houses is going insane. These lying economic scumbags are trying to tell us we have 2.7% inflation. And they say, oh, it's high. High, maybe 27%, maybe even higher than that. But they just lie with figures because, as the saying goes, there's lies, there's damn lies, and there's statistics. You can use statistics to prove anything just by what you include in. Like, what do they include for inflation? One time I was reading what they based on inflation. They said salt, sugar, flour. Who the heck uses much of that stuff? People buy cakes. People buy boxes of cereals. They don't make their own stuff. That stuff is sky high. But, well, the price of salt hasn't gone up all the way. How much salt do you buy? Unless, you're salting the highways in the winter. I mean, come on now. Let's face the facts. These economists are lying to us tooth and nail, saying that there's 2.7% inflation. It's up 0.1% from 2.6%. Total horse manure. Don't let these people tell you these lies, because we all know it's a lie. We live in a real world. We know that's not true. So don't believe these economists. Let's face it. They're generally ivory tower dudes. They all went to university, have economic degrees. And what did they do in the ivory tower of university and government? Well, like they say, they're arguing about how many angels can dance on the head of a pin. Believe it or not, a long time ago, people in the Catholic Church actually saw that as an argument that they took seriously. And it's just as bad as saying this is 2.6% inflation. It's nonsense. Well, I hope a bunch of people listened to me and didn't get suckered into this, Nikola stock is up, and bought some, because Nikola is confirming even more layoffs as it desperately tries to avoid bankruptcy. This company is deep in the hole. And they just try to sucker people into buying their stock and trying to make more stock. Well, guess what? Now they're laying off even more people. If you remember, 2 years ago, their founder got caught for fraud. He got a jail sentence, but he's a rich guy, so he's not in jail yet. He's out on bail while they try to get a retrial, right? The typical rich people. Now, at one point, people were fooled. The company's stock was worth $34 billion. The last figures out there, their net income was minus $784 million for the year 2022. And their total equity is $526 million. Okay? That's a far cry from their $34 billion value. Let's see, $34 billion, $500 million. A big difference there, people. Nikola switched to the hydrogen fuel cell instead of battery, but they're making them, but they are losing a fortune for every single one that they make. Now, those are the 2022 figures you get. Today, check it out. The company is now valued at about $100 million. $100 million from $34 billion. Yes, let's just say kaput on Nikola. They also announced the other day that they're selling more shares. Don't ever buy shares in a company that's going down the toilet like that. I mean, Hey, we don't know battery electric trucks are everything, and now they switched to hydrogen fuel cell, and that would be so far in the future. Come on, there's no infrastructure for hydrogen. At least for battery electric trucks, there's electricity out there. They can hook up stuff and get, I mean, if there were millions of them, sure, then you'd need new power plants, but it's such a small amount that they've actually sold in their entire history. They claim they sold 235 of these hydrogen fuel cell trucks. A company does not make a living and continue to exist with such small numbers. Unless they're making rocket ships. And these are just trucks, right? So take my advice, stay away from their stock. And if I ran a company, there's no way I would purchase any of their trucks. Who knows how long they're going to be around? Who's going to fix them? They could be worthless piles of junk in a short period of time. So here we go again with the electric boondoggle. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.